Look at this. She gave you the consort suite already. You're on your way to living the good life, aren't you? You're in the consort suite located in the Empress's gardens. You don't just have a chance to be around such beautiful florals, but to see the Empress with her guard down. I heard she visits these gardens quite frequently. Lucky you. Calm down. Yikes. If our Empress knew how fast to anger her fiancé was, maybe she'd reconsider. I'm here because she made me get you. The nobles' assembly is today, and guess who wants you there? No, you're right, this is a newer thing. The 6 founding families meeting every fortnight was an old tradition forgotten in the Empire's time of peace. I mean, it was formed during the separation of the continent into the kingdom and the Empire, so it's been like, what, hundreds of years since we've regularly had these meetings? The Empress reinstated this tradition when tensions started rising between the kingdom and the Empire, which you probably guessed. Either way, you're head of one of the founding families, so you have to go. Sure, I'll catch you up while we're walking there. Now come on, we are going to be late. Yep, the 6 founding families. Seriously, did you forget all of your history when you were in the kingdom? Well, you know the Eastern Duke after your, argument the other day? He rules the eastern region of the Empire. His mother and father died when he was a child, but they were close to the imperial family, which is why Empress Kanade and Duke Nicholas grew up so close. Then there's the West and South Duchesses, Western Duchess Stasia and South Duchess Kyoko. Then you, of course, as the North Duke, and the House of Aros, who governs the central region of the Empire, as well as the islands. That's the 5 families. Plus the imperial family, of course. Well, right now we are discussing the tensions between the kingdom and the empire. More specifically, where to send troops, reinforcements, if we can afford to go offensive. I missed the last meeting, so they're a tad bit mad at me right now.
Is that the Northern Duke with Earl Aros? They're here. Doesn't that mean she gave him the concert suite? I guess so.
Don't mind them. I guess gossip is an exclusive to the nobility.
Still can't believe she picked some kingdom scum here. I know we just came back from being there for several months and...
The chaos.
The Northern Duke is correct, gentlemen. If you wish to say something, at least have the decency to say it to his face.
Our
deepest regrets, Your Grace.
Let us continue. Well, you're going to this one. That's enough excitement to keep me there, even if we're talking about such boring subjects. Oh, you never did tell me what you and the Empress talked about the night you were chosen. You know, up on the balcony? I refuse to believe it was something that simple. You simply introduced yourselves and that was it? I don't know, something more. She was nice? That's all you're giving me? She seemed tired. I understand that. She always believed she would pick the Eastern Duke, so having to pick someone else could have been difficult for her. But introducing yourselves is too... I don't know, too simple? With such a bizarre night, I thought only stranger things would follow.
That's an iris and that's a magnolia?
You're getting it, Kizumi. And those are double tulips, while those over there are peonies.
They may look a little similar from further away, but if you look closer at the stems as well as the shape of the petals, they're different.
The Empress and her sister, Princess Kazumi.
Oh yeah, I see.
They're both quite young when the late Emperor and late Empress passed away,
Wow,
but
that's so
Kazumi was much younger, at only a couple years of age.
Would you like to hold one?
Many say Empress Kanade feels it's her
Yes,
responsibility to raise her now that their parents are gone. Your Imperial Majesty, I've brought over the Duke as you requested.
Thank you, Earl. I'll be with you in a moment. Go along to your lessons now, Kizu. I'll see you at dinner, okay?
Yes, sister.
Earl Aros, Northern Duke. Shall we get going?
Indeed. Let us go.
Nice of you to finally join our meetings, Earl Aros. Last week was what, your 6th missed assembly?
My apologies, Your Imperial Majesty. You know the scene of yelling nobles and discussions of politics and war aren't exactly my favorite. Okay, Duke, maybe telling you I only missed a meeting or two was a bit of an understatement. But I'm coming now. Isn't that what's important?
While your presence representing the central region of the Empire would have been much appreciated, being one in our goals, especially within the 6 families, is extremely important right now. As we'll talk about more in the assembly, tensions are rising like nothing before. We've tried to keep most of the news away from the public, but unfortunately, my citizens are not illogical. They know something is happening.
Well, this isn't just another scandal we can cover up. Tensions this extreme with the kingdom could, at worst, mean war. Sure, we've had rough patches, but official war hasn't happened within the continent since the split of the kingdom and the empire.
You do not know?
Your Majesty, recall how the late Northern Duke was a bit of a recluse? Perhaps he didn't think history was the best subject to consume the present North Duke's training. How else would the Duke here have such a reputation for slaying the amount of beasts he has?
The late Duke definitely had a priority on combat. Well, I would not want my fiancé to be unknowledgeable in our empire's history. I'm sure you at least know the 6 founding families. Each governs a region of the empire, while the imperial family overlooks and rules the empire as a whole. Your family, as the Northern Dukedom, rule over the north. Duke Nicholas, as the Eastern Duke, governs the east. Then in the south, Duchess Kyoko, Duchess Stacey rules over the west, and Earl Aros and his family govern over the central region of the empire. 300 years ago, the kingdom and the empire were one and were called the continent. They were a united and peaceful nation, but as lovely as peace is, it never lasts. The north, what we now know as the empire, was not happy with the way the continent was being governed. A new king had come into power. A man of greed. A soulless monster who only cared for himself. The ones who opposed this man's rule were led by 6 individuals. My ancestor, Athenius Ryu, and the ancestors of the 4 dukedoms and the earls' families. The war lasted years, but when they finally took over the capital, those who refused to be under Athenius' rule were banished to the southern region of the continent, which we now know as the kingdom. Each individual was awarded a piece of land to govern that has been passed down to their descendants for generations now. These are the families you will be facing every noble's assembly.
Indeed.
And the families we are
Said
all
in
about to
this
face
location,
once we open this door.
somebody must be running late.
Baron Clayton, Viscount Weiss.
Your Imperial Majesty, Duke Earl Aros, here for the Nobles' Assembly, no doubt.
Indeed. Did one of the 6 families step down? Or were you suddenly given a higher status, granted land, or a fortune larger than the Empire's vaults?
Unfortunately not, my lord. Forgive us. We were just leaving. Baron Clayton, let us be on our way.
Your Majesty, Your Grace, Earl, farewell.
Indeed, Duke. It is most suspicious. But let us focus on the task right in front of us.
Remember, Duke, Earl, we're on the same side as everyone beyond this door. They may get rowdy or argumentative, but if we are to work together as my father would have wanted, we need to be united now more than ever.
All right, Your Majesty. We can do that at least. Right, Duke?
Thank you. Then let us go. Is something the matter? You need to speak with me? Of course. Earl Aros, go ahead. We'll meet you in there shortly.
Sending me into the wolves' den? How cruel. Fine, fine. I'll see you all in there.
Our conversation on the balcony? What of it? Look, we can talk about all of that later. Let us focus on the assembly. Then we'll talk. I promise. Thank you. Really, I knew I couldn't avoid it forever. And I won't, okay? Okay, let us go.
And there they are, the stars of the show. It took a second. Kanade. I mean, Empress.
And along with the Northern Duke. Now tell us, you only came back from the kingdom, what, a mere weeks ago?
Yes, indeed. I'm here with my fiancé. I apologize for my tardiness. Regardless, I'm here now, so let us begin. Your Majesty, are you not going to introduce us to your fiancé? As we have more important matters to attend to, I'll make this quick. You all may be seated. Northern Duke, you know Duke Nicholas, Duke of the East, as well as Earl Aros, who governs over Central Empire lands. This is Duchess Stacy of the West, and this is Duchess KIYOKO of the South.
Hello.
Hi there. Is it true that you slayed the Beast of Neverending at the Battle of Yinus? Or that you defeated the Sea Serpent at Green Ocean's Pass? Or that you...
Enough. Let us talk. What are we here to discuss?
I agree. We have more to talk about than mere rumors. Right, Duchess KIYOKO?
Indeed. Let's get on it then. As you all know, tensions between the kingdom and the empire have been rising, and we believe this to be mostly led by Soulless King loyalists, citizens of the kingdom who believe the age-old king who ruled centuries past is the rightful ruler, and that reclaiming the empire to unite the continent is their task. But haven't they always been around? I mean, the loyalists have existed ever since the split of the kingdom and the empire.
Precisely. Their faction has existed since the creation of the empire. Why are they suddenly robbing stores on the border, carrying out mass operations in bordering cities, all in the name of the Soulless King now, when they didn't before?
That's the question, isn't it? But from the reports I've received, they're still missing what would truly make them a considerable threat towards the Empire.
And that is?
Indeed, North Duke. Organization. If they do not have a leader, then their actions cannot be well thought out, or have a goal.
Or that's what they want you to think. Just because they have not revealed a leader does not mean he is not hiding in the shadows. The Soulless King worked in the dark. Who's to say they aren't either?
We know that something is causing them to be more active than they've ever been. Whether it really is because a leader is giving orders, we know not. But enough with the speculations. From the reports we've gotten, it is not confirmed whether or not the loyalist schemes are organized. But even if they're not working together in an organized manner, they have caused the Empire's citizens great peril, and that is not acceptable. You all have received your reports from your regions of the Empire. Now tell me, does anyone have any suggestions for what we should do going forward?
We should double the guards throughout all the border cities, increase soldier concentration through merchant streets and city centers, show them the Empire knows what they're up to, and that we aren't turning a blind eye.
I second that. We can't let them believe we don't know what they're doing. That we're just letting this all happen.
Well...
Do we all agree? Do you have something to say, Your Grace?
Doing so wouldn't be a wise choice? Ooh, do tell.
Showing them we know would instead provoke them, and maybe even give them a reason to organize themselves if they aren't already.
You think if they know we're on their trail, they'll just cover their tracks and make their true motivations even harder to discover?
Then what do you suggest, O wise one?
I see. I agree that we can't just rush in thinking more manpower will solve the problem. If they think we're onto them, they'll be on their guard, making it harder for us to figure out if they have a goal or a leader. We can still increase the number of guards, but spread them out thinner. Give them a chance to cover more ground instead of crowding in busy streets or vendor spots. That will give our men a chance to discover incidents around the bordering cities faster, as well as give them the illusion that the number of guards in the busiest areas haven't changed. What do you all think?
I agree with the Duke. A head-on approach isn't the smartest idea if we still have to discover if they have a leader, and if this leader has a goal in mind. We have to be careful with our actions. Do you have something you wish to share, Duke Nicholas?
Are you all really okay with this?
Here we have a man who squeezed his way into the Empire after spending months within our opposition's borders. A man who miraculously became the Empress's betrothed and is now making decisions regarding our defense against a place he called home for several months. And the man who's agreeing with him is none other than Earl Aros. Your sister had ties to the kingdom, did she not?
Don't bring Violet into this! You hear?
Or what? I know the Empress is trying to act all nice to ease the tensions between the kingdom and the Empire. But your sister wanted nothing more than to help the kingdom. Who's to say that isn't impacting your opinions right now? We all know she met her demise in the kingdom. I find it interesting that you aren't more furious at the kingdom for taking her away from you.
That is enough.
Duke Nicholas, I agree that there are many external factors we need to consider, but it is not wise to discuss such personal issues at the Noble Assembly.
I agree. Let us not discuss any personal issues here. We are all clearly not in the best state to be discussing such matters at the moment. This meeting is adjourned. I will prepare soldiers following the Duke's advice, but nothing is set in stone yet. I shall summon you all for the next meeting soon.
Yes,
Your
Your
Majesty.
Who does he think he is? He falls in favor with the Empress once, and suddenly he thinks he's a tactician.
Relax, Nicholas. Even if you are correct, the last thing you should be doing at the moment is showing your anger. Word has been spreading fast because of the stunt you pulled at the ball yesterday.
Stunt?
I don't know. Screaming your head off at the man chosen by Her Majesty, maybe. Don't mind them. People can and will talk about things they don't understand.
Indeed. Typical nobility behavior. I know I'm also a noble, but that isn't the point. The point is that they don't know what they're talking about. You simply had an opinion and shared it. And it was damn smart.
Greetings, Your Imperial Majesty, North Duke, and Earl Aros. I bring a message for the Earl, if I am permitted to deliver it.
Greetings. Go ahead.
Thank you. It reads, any reports
I will
of...
take the message in private. I will be leaving now. Your Majesty, Duke, adieu.
Farewell. Well, that went differently than expected. None of our meetings ever seem to go smoothly. I hope that wasn't too overwhelming, Duke. You are right. You have battled far worse. We have many things to discuss, don't we? Meet me on the balcony. The same one from yesterday. Like a redo. Excellent. Allow me to change into different attire and I shall meet you there shortly. You'll be waiting? I'll see you there then.
I won't screw up again. That's on me, but I can't agree to this plan. I didn't know it would get this extreme. Maybe it would have changed something, but you didn't inform me of this when you came to me with this partnership, and I hate being blindsided. I don't want to hurt her this way. Wait. Someone's here. We shall discuss this more later. What are you looking at?
I'm sorry, did I keep you waiting? You just arrived? That's a relief. I owe you an explanation, don't I? I don't owe you anything? I guess I don't. I mean, yesterday was the first time we met. Regardless, allow me to explain. If not for you, then for me to get a weight off my chest. That night, you overheard us, right? Duke Nicholas and I arguing? Indeed. Betrayed by my longtime friend, someone I believed I could trust wholeheartedly. It just hurt. A lot. My parents would often choose my companions, plant children to accompany me in parties and balls, and while our parents were close, they never forced us to be friends because they believed us too different. He was loud and rash, and I was quiet and shy. He preferred the outdoors, and I would spend hours hidden away in the Imperial Library. They deemed it an impossible friendship. Despite all of those odds, he was the first friend I made outside of my parents' influence. So, I, for some reason, believed it could withstand any trial or problem. I was wrong, of course. Losing that along with it being the night of my choosing and receiving reports from the south that tensions were continuing to rise, it was all just too much. But still, it's not an excuse for the way I treated you. So I want to apologize. And start over. Thank you for accepting my apology. This is a redo, right? Like last night never happened? Okay. Hello there. I'm Empress Kanade Ryu, daughter to late Emperor Ronin Ryu and the sovereign ruler of the Empire. I love beaches, the smell of dew on grass, snow, history, and peppermint tea. I strongly dislike raisins and being bored and was raised in this very castle. My strongest wish is to be a just and caring ruler to the people of the Empire. Your turn. Well, it's nice to meet you. You want to sit or something? I'll be fine. Sitting on the balcony's rails isn't even that dangerous. Besides, you won't let me fall, will you? I'm just teasing. You didn't find the nobles' assembly too overwhelming, did you? That's good to hear. They were a bit overbearing, but Your advice was genius. You're definitely made for a political position. I'm not teasing you, I'm serious. This is coming from someone who has studied war and strategy for years. I know talent when I see it. Duchess Stasia can be quite critical, but she's fair as well as just. It just takes time to earn the favor of someone so wary of the kingdom. Well, Duchess Stasia's family was killed by Soulless King loyalists, so it's understandable that you spending all that time that you did in the kingdom and being a part of our meetings worries her. Does it worry me? Strangely, no. But I have my reasons. A question? You may. Violet? What about Violet? Earl Aros mentioned he had a sister named Violet and it seemed like a touchy issue. It really is a long story. You've got time? Violet and I were the bestest of friends growing up. We both went to the Imperial Academy, and as she was a daughter of the Aros family, we naturally saw each other at every occasion. Every debutante ball or tea party. I can't even remember the exact moment I met her. She was just always there. A constant in my busy life. We grew close quickly through all the times we were forced to be in close proximity. She always had such a giving heart. I remember seeing her stealing food from balls and delivering it to the servants and their families, or sneaking books from the library to read to the servants' kids. I always knew her heart would lead her in whatever she would do with her life. And I guess she knew too, as she decided to leave the Empire to help the less fortunate in the kingdom. I begged her not to go, that it would be dangerous, that the kingdom's citizens didn't like people from the Empire. But she told me she wanted nothing more than to leave the castle and spend her time doing what she loved most. Violet loved the people of the kingdom as her own. She would often send me letters narrating her days in the kingdom, the people she helped, the school she helped run. Her work wasn't unnoticed by the kingdom's citizens, but it wasn't going unnoticed by the kingdom regime either. Violet was detained and questioned by the kingdom regiment only months after being there. As she was still a citizen of the Empire, they didn't trust her and sent a message to the Imperial Palace to send her back to the Empire. But she wrote a letter, asking me to not let her come back, that she still had so much more to do here, and that she didn't want to go back to her life at the palace. Violet asked me to refuse their offer. She told me that if the Empress of the Empire refused to take her back, then the Kingdom Regiment would realize she wasn't an Empire loyalist, and let her continue her life in the kingdom. So, against the Aros family's wishes, for my friend, I refused her entry back into the Empire. She passed away a couple weeks later. The kingdom was and is still quite behind us medically, so she died to a sickness that could have been easily cured here in the Empire. I know that I was just following her wishes and that I couldn't have known things would turn out the way they did, but I could have saved her. I could have... Thanks. You're right. I thought I was being a good friend, but I don't know. Earlier, when I said I had other reasons for picking you, I wasn't lying. I didn't just choose you because you have ties to the kingdom. In Violet's letters, she would often write to me about an upcoming hero in the kingdom, that a man had been traveling around the nation, slaughtering any beast that crossed his path. A noble knight. She would send me cutouts from newspapers, each with your picture on the very front page. Indeed, that's why I recognized and paused to look at you at the ball, when you were with Earl Aros, and why I picked you at my choosing. Violet had never talked about anyone the way she talked about you and your valiant deeds. I thought if I could trust anyone to help rule alongside me, it would be a selfless and brave knight, someone who helped others just like Violet did. It's getting late, isn't it? Oh, I completely forgot. Wait, help me down. Thank you. Here. It's an invitation to the ball later this week. After the choosing ball, it's tradition that another ball is held a week later to confirm the ruler's choice, and to hear if the one chosen agrees to the union. Meaning, if you want out, you only have until the ball to decide. You don't need until then? Shh, it's custom that I'm supposed to hear your answer at the ball. Not before, not after. Save it until then, okay? You'll be there? I'm holding you to that, okay? Till we meet again then.